Feeling overwhelmed by the challenges of being a single parent? You are not alone. Welcome to the Single Parent Reset, the podcast that helps you navigate the ups and downs of single parenthood and find the balance that you deserve. Whether you're a single parent, co-parent or a solo parent, this is the show for you. I'm Orla and I'm a life coach for single parents. And as a single parent myself, I know how hard it can be. But I also believe that every single parent has the strength to create a life that they are proud of. In each episode, we'll shine a light on the unique struggles single parents face and cover the aspects of single parenting that are too often overlooked and left unspoken. I'll be sharing actionable steps to help you overcome these challenges and find a more calm and fulfilled life. Single Parent Reset is your weekly opportunity to gain a fresh perspective, take back control, and feel more in charge of your journey. Have you ever felt like you're constantly trying to fill a void to make up for something as a single parent? Today, we'll tackle the trap of overcompensating as a single parent, how to spot it, understand why it happens, and most importantly, how to stop it before burnout sets in. Overcompensation as a single parent can appear in many ways, and the cause of it can vary from person to person. But one thing that is common for everyone is that too much of it can quickly lead to feelings of burnout. So what do I mean by overcompensating? It is at times that you find yourself going above and beyond what is expected of you because you feel like you need to make up for something that you are lacking as a single parent, or that you are perceiving that you are lacking as a single parent. It is important to recognise the signs that you are overcompensating and understand the reasons behind it. And doing this can help you break the cycle and avoid stretching yourself too far, both emotionally and financially. I'm going to talk about the most recent example that overcompensation really showed up for me as a single parent. Now, this is quite an extreme example, but I'm sure many of you will resonate with this. This happened for me in the summer holidays. My son was in reception last year, so this was the first summer holidays that he was going to be off, whereas previous years he would have been at nursery. And he was going to be spending half the time with me and half the time with his dad. Great, fine, that's what had been agreed. I knew this was going to be happening. But as the time got nearer, as I started pulling out the summer clothes, buying the sun cream, I was thinking, okay, I only have my son for half of the time. I'm going to make it the best time for him. I was thinking we're going to have so much fun and I can do this. So, well, first thing, summer camp. Obviously, most people put their kids into summer camps over the summer holidays. Did I do that? No. Why would I do that? I was only seeing him half the time. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to spend all the time with him. Okay, so what did I do to keep him entertained? Well, obviously play dates. So when it came to play dates, generally, when you give a play date, you get one back. Did I take any offers of people having my son after I'd had him? Absolutely not. Any kid that was free or available and needed someone to look after them, I was taking them. I took all the kids so that I could maximise the time with my son. Money. So obviously I'm very organised with my money, well, I try to be. So I had my budget for the summer holidays, making sure this is how much you have, don't spend over that. Did I stick to it? No. Did I stick to it? Absolutely not. If my son wanted a nice toy, oh, of course I got it. We wanted to go stop and have a nice dinner. Of course we did. We did all these things. Now, where did this leave me by the end of the summer holidays? Oh, where did it leave me? By the end of the summer holidays, to say I was burnt out doesn't even cut it. I was done. I was absolutely done. I had had no time for myself at all because I put it all into my son. I had overstretched myself by having way too many play dates, doing way too many things I'd normally do. I had no money, so I was then stressed out, oh God, now I need to buy a uniform after overspending in the summer holidays. Self-care, what self-care? I hadn't looked after myself at all. I just didn't even have the capacity because I was so tired from the days with my son that I didn't even have the energy to get up early to do my yoga or do my nice reading in the evening or all the normal stuff I normally do. It just wasn't good. So then I really had to think about it. Okay, so what were my intentions going into the summer holidays? Well, they were to spend the time with my son, make the most of the time that I had with him. why was I feeling so extra? Like I had to make it so good. Then this is where I started to realize. I realized I had such a feeling of guilt that I was not going to be with him the whole time. That I was only going to see him for half of the summer holidays. I was feeling guilty. Do you know what else I felt? I also felt embarrassed. Like when I'd be speaking to other parents about, the summer holiday plans, what they were going to be doing, I kind of felt embarrassed when I'd say, "Oh, I'm only going to have my son half the time." So, therefore I felt that I had to make it the most amazing time. And then also the other aspect was I wasn't going to have him for half of the time. And it was going to be the longest chunk of time I ever had away from my son. So I was completely filling up all the time to have the most fun because I was dreading the time where I didn't have him and not thinking, what could I do at that time? And when I realised that these were the real reasons behind my behaviour, I realised that any good intentions that I did have, which was making the most of my time, just wasn't going to happen because there was negative emotions and feelings driving those intentions, and therefore it wasn't going to work. Now, this is a pretty extreme version of overcompensation as a single parent, but I'm sure most single parents listening can think of their own version of this story where their overcompensation has gone too far. So now it's time to look at, well, what can be done to recognise the signs that you are overcompensating and what you can do about it to avoid ending up like me at the end of summer holidays, absolutely burnt out and exhausted. Step one is recognising the signs. The first thing you need to do is look out for the signs of overcompensation. Overcompensation is not just about buying expensive presents or elaborate birthday parties. It can be showing up in many ways. Are you finding that you are not considering your needs and only focusing on your children, leaving no time for your own self-care? Or perhaps you are frequently showering your kids with gifts, meals out, or expensive activities to make up for your perceived shortcomings? Or do you feel that you're spending all of your free time with your children and rarely spending any time with other adults? Or have you noticed that you've become too lenient and are struggling to enforce boundaries because you don't want to upset your children? These are all signs that you are overcompensating for one reason or another as a single parent. The problem with these behaviours is, by neglecting your self-care, you're putting your needs last, which can lead to exhaustion and burnout. And as a single parent, taking care of yourself is key to make sure that you can show up as your best self for your kids. By overspending on your children, you run the risk of living beyond your means and adding further stresses by having financial worries. By not socialising with other adults and spending all your time with your children, you can end up with severe feelings of loneliness and isolation. And by being too lenient or inconsistent with how you parent, you can leave your children feeling a bit confused. And children, as we know, they crave and thrive on consistency. If you see these crop up, do not be hard on yourself. Remember, like my summer holiday plan, your intentions are coming from a good place. It's just your actions are coming out in the wrong way. The next step is, once you've recognised the signs, is step two is understanding the cause. Once you recognise you are overcompensating, the next thing is to get to the root of what is driving this behaviour. The emotions driving this behaviour are often rooted in guilt, shame, or feelings of inadequacy as a single parent. Take a moment to acknowledge these feelings. You are not alone in feeling this way, but you do not have to let these emotions guide your actions. Take time out now to reflect. Try by asking yourself some of the following questions. Are you acting this way because there's guilt for not being in a traditional family setup? Or do you have guilt for working long hours? Or perhaps, are you feeling overwhelmed by being the sole head of your household? Or do you have a sense of resignation that you just can't even do any better? Perhaps there's anger that you are having to do all the parenting and discipline alone. A good way to work through this is by journaling. Now, I know this may not be for everyone, but I promise you, if you give it a go, you'd be surprised what comes up. So what I suggest for you is, when you've got time, get a pen and paper and go back to those questions that I've just said there and write down your thoughts and feelings around these questions and give yourself permission to acknowledge your guilt or fear without judgment. And often just getting these emotions on paper can help you see them more clearly. Or if journaling really isn't your thing, Speak to a friend. Let them know that you've got some things come up for you and you want to speak to them about it, and ask them just to listen without their input. Or alternatively, send a friend a voice note. And as you start speaking, you'll realise actually what your thoughts are. I don't know if your friends will appreciate rambling voice notes from you, but they don't need to listen, or you don't even need to send it. It's just getting the words out can be so good and help you understand what's driving this behaviour. Once you've recognised what's behind your overcompensating, then you can ask yourself, is overcompensating, or the behaviours that you're doing that is overcompensating, going to solve your original problem? So if we go back to my example of the summer holidays, I realised I was overspending, overplanning because I was trying to compensate for not being with my son the whole time. And I felt guilty for not being able to spend the entire holiday with him. But when I reflected on this and I asked myself this question, the answer was no. No amount of extra toys, no amount of extra play dates, no amount of extra me spending all the time with him was going to make that go away. So I did not need to be doing all this behaviour. What I actually needed to do was spend time accepting I was not going to have them the whole time, and that is okay. That's the setup I'm in. And the final step with overcompensation is breaking the cycle. So now you've got a deeper understanding of why you may have been stretching yourself due to overcompensating. You can take action to prevent overcompensating leading to burnout. Set boundaries. This is, we know all about boundaries, but what about boundaries for you and your family? Are you setting boundaries in terms of how you want to discipline your kids? Are you setting boundaries financially for certain things? Really make sure that you're actually setting boundaries for you and yourself, and that they're clear so that everyone understands your time, your money, and your capabilities. It makes it so much easier when you have boundaries in place. Prioritize your self-care. The minute you see your self-care slipping, whatever it may be for you only 5 minutes at the beginning of the day to just sit and have a cup of tea in silence. But the minute you start to see that slipping, look around and think, why is it slipping? What's happening? What's driving this? Because I promise you that's the most important thing you can do, is look after yourself. And also get comfortable with saying no. Now, this can be a hard one if you're well into the overcompensation cycle, but learning to say no is key to breaking it. If your kids are asking for something outside your budget or your schedule, practice saying no, kindly but firmly. Explain your reasons so they understand that you're setting limits because you love them and want the best for them in the long term. Hopefully having these steps in place will help you break the cycle. Having clear boundaries, making sure you're prioritizing your self-care, and getting comfortable with saying no. So there you have it. A clear understanding of the signs you are overcompensating, why you might be overcompensating, and more importantly, how to avoid it. Remember, the most important thing for your children is that they are raised in a loving and supportive environment, not whether they have the latest toys, or you let them have an extra chocolate bar, or you read them an extra story at bedtime. Did this episode resonate with you? What tip are you going to work on after listening today? Please let me know what worked best for you. If you're interested in working with me one-to-one, please go to my website, solacecoaching.com, for further details. And don't forget to follow my Instagram page @solacecoaching for more insightful content on living a life to be proud of as a single parent. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Single Parent Reset. You have taken 15 minutes out of your day to do something for you, and that alone is a step in the right direction towards living the life you deserve. If you find this useful, please share with your friends and family. And remember, many single parents may seem like they have it all together, but this episode may be exactly what they need to hear to help them through this week. So do the kind thing and pass it on.